What's up guys, welcome back to another devlog on my upcoming roguelike game, Thorm. Today I'm going to show you how I got the animations to work for the procedural weapons in my game, so buckle up. In the last devlog I showed you a tool that I created to procedurally generate weapons based on a few presets, and at the end of that episode I was struggling to come up with a way to animate these weapons efficiently. Well, after a bit of research, I came up with a really great solution, and I want to share the design process to hopefully inspire or help anyone going through something similar. I also made a tutorial on exactly how you can do this too, so make sure you check that out as well. So as a preface, what I wanted to avoid was having dozens, potentially even hundreds of animators down the line. I wanted to find a solution that was easy to implement and extremely scalable for what we're working with. Now, my first step was to see how other people were handling this issue, and I came across this video here. So this guy had a character that had a range of weapons that he could use, and he needed a way to implement the animations. Now, this was starting to sound familiar, and I got a bit excited. My troubles would soon be over. Unfortunately, what I found was that this guy's character had a limited range of weapons, as in there would only ever be 3, whereas my game intends to have lots. But there was an idea that I was able to use from this video. See, he had the player animated to attack without the weapons actually attached. Instead, the weapons inside his drawing software are animated by keyframes to match up with the player's positions. So, this is the approach that I decided to take. I animated the player attacking without an actual weapon and created different layers for the handle and for the blade. Now, for both the handle and the blade, I animated their keyframes in the positions that they would be in during the actual attack. Now, just by looking at it, it was starting to come together and a vision was slowly coming to life. But now I needed to be able to have this happen in the game seamlessly. As a side note as well, animating the weapons this way is something that I don't think is something I could have done any other way to get the effect I wanted. But once I found a rhythm with the rotations and the placement of the weapons, I was animating them in about 1 to 2 minutes. Okay, so I had the animations exported into Unity and I set up the player attacking, but I still needed to come up with a solution for attaching the correct blade and handle to the player. Now, the initial idea that I had was that through code I could access specific animation properties and their keyframes. Now, I know I can switch out any sprite renderer's sprite whenever I want through the code, but when you're actually dealing with multiple sprites like I am with these weapons, I can't really switch out the sprites every few frames with the correct animation and have it consistently 100% of the time match up with the attacking animation without some kind of problem. And not to mention how much effort that would be to program and get working with both the handles and blades. Bottom line, there's so much mental effort to go into it that for something at the scale that we're working with, it isn't worth committing to. But this rabbit hole led me to another idea. Pokemon. The good Pokemon. I said the good Pokemon. You know, the one with the pixels and the sprites? Yeah, that one. In those games, there are hundreds of different characters, but I don't mean the Pokemon themselves. I mean the NPCs. There are so many of them throughout the Pokemon world, and not to shit on the designs of them, but they stand there and they walk. Every one of them. Nothing interesting about them other than that. So how does a game like Pokemon handle the animations of all of these characters? Definitely doesn't have anything to do with part of being a multi-billion-dollar company. Well, maybe it does, I don't know. Still don't know how they do it. My point is, there are few people who make clones of Pokemon in Unity. So how would these people handle multiple animations? Or on a more general basis, how would someone handle applying cosmetic changes to a character without reanimating them as a new character? Well, that's when I found the holy grail of videos. Mr. Sunny Valley Studios. Kudos to you, you saved my game. As it turns out, Unity introduced an animation package which is automatically imported into projects using Unity 2021 and later, which allows you to do exactly what I wanted with the keyframe animation switching, and all it requires is one animator. So I started implementing this solution, and again I made a tutorial on this full process, so make sure to check that out for your own game. Anyway, sure enough, it worked, and it worked amazingly. So, to break down exactly what I'm doing here, my player has a blank object reference for the blade and the handle. The player is otherwise animated as normal for attacking, but in the animation I include blank keyframes that match up with the weapon swinging. Now, when a weapon is picked up, the weapon is destroyed in the scene, but the data for the sprite, so the handle and the blade, is passed to the player. When the player attacks, all it does is plug this found data into the blank weapon reference, and when the animation is executed, the keyframes are updated automatically. Now, when the player switches to a new weapon, what is happening is the two weapons are essentially communicating with each other and passing the data over to each other so that the weapons are switching over seamlessly. This was a huge step in the progress of the game, as it means that we can finally start the core game loop, and we've already started setting up the initial testing scene. So, hopefully going forward we'll be seeing a lot more progress. We also spent a lot of time going through our code and maximizing performance and efficiency by removing unnecessary update calls and instead moved to delegating methods together, which allows for all of our player scripts to be able to work together correctly. So this is pretty much the final update for milestone 2 of the game. We will be working towards getting the game loop together for the future, but before that I'm going to make a quick announcement. Now, Thorm is a group project and everyone in this group has lives, so progress can't always be quick. That being said, I want to keep posting consistent videos, so when I'm not working on Thorm, I'll be working on a new game. This game will be part of a new devlog series, which will also be a tutorial follow-along, where I'll be making a tower defense game similar to the one I made in a previous video, but I'll be going over the full process from art to version control to Unity implementation to coding in C#. This series will aim to build your understanding of the Unity engine at a higher level while still maintaining an ease of understanding and explanations that won't be too overwhelming. So I hope you guys look forward to that. Anyway, until next time, thank you for sticking around to watch, and I will catch you in the next video.